Watch this, your elbow is collapsing, and that's exactly why your loops keep dying into the net. One fix changes everything. When you loop, your elbow can't collapse downward. Watch, if my elbow drops as I swing, the arc never develops. The ball gets pushed down before it can rise. Now watch when I keep my elbow supported, held out in front. See how the ball lifts with a proper arc. The moment the elbow sinks, it drags the forearm into a downward motion, killing the trajectory. You simply can't generate arc that way. So remember, keep that elbow supported throughout the stroke. The elbow can't press downward, it has to stay supported. If it collapses, the ball goes straight into the net. Now let's start with a no-spin ball. I open the racket face slightly and use my forearm to brush upward through the ball. Watch the contact relaxed clean with the forearm doing the work. Now my partner adds a little spin, half spin, not fully loaded. Notice I don't change my approach. I don't push at the ball with my whole arm. I use the forearm to loop, keeping the upper arm quiet. As the spin increases, the key stays the same. Don't force it, don't stiffen up. Whether the incoming ball has almost no spin, moderate spin, or heavy spin, my mindset is identical. I brush through every single ball with one consistent friction-based stroke. One motion handles all of it. I don't need to adjust my stroke for each ball. The key isn't swinging fast, it's making the friction contact fast. Even a tiny, quick brush produces spin the opponent can't handle. Next, this is about friction and acceleration. Why do you get eaten by spin? Because the ball's downward speed is greater than your upward speed. If my upward brushing speed exceeds the ball's dropping speed, I can lift it. I stop getting caught by the spin. When the incoming ball is heavy, I accelerate my brush to match. When it's light, I can gently guide it up with less effort. Now let's talk about the push, because you won't loop every ball. My partner serves sidespin-backspin, tricky to read. Here's a question for you. When the incoming ball has heavy spin, should my friction be faster or slower? Think about it. Some of you would say faster, some say slower. Let me demonstrate both so you can see the difference. My partner sends a heavily loaded backspin serve. I set up over the table, racket face open, and I'm going to show you what fast friction looks like on the push, and then what slow friction looks like. Watch the result carefully. The ball's behavior off my racket tells the whole story. Against half-long, no-spin balls, either speed works, you can lock those in easily. But watch the difference on heavy backspin. Fast friction on the push, the ball dives into the net. Slow friction on the push, it clears and stays low. Now compare that to the loop. Slow friction on the loop and you eat the spin, dumping it into the net. Fast friction on the loop and the ball jumps up and over. It's exactly opposite. For pushing, the heavier the spin, the slower and more gently you brush. Let me simulate a match situation. 9-all, your opponent serves heavy sidespin backspin. The instinct is to accelerate your push, add some quality. But the moment you speed up your friction on the push, you dump it into the net. The moment you try to speed up your push against heavy backspin, the ball dumps into the net. It seems almost magical. The heavier the spin, the slower you should push, slow, brushing contact. But when the serve is only half spin or no spin, watch what happens if you push slowly. My partner punishes it immediately. See that? Against half spin or no spin, your push needs fast friction, real acceleration through the ball. If you go slow, the opponent attacks you easily. Think about a pressure situation. Your opponent fires a fast, spinny serve. You have ideas, you want to add quality, and you miss. So you tell yourself to calm down, go softer. Then they change the spin, suddenly it's half spin or no spin. You push gently and pop up a high ball they smash. This happens constantly in tight games. Now let's work on reading sidespin backspin versus sidespin topspin serves, and returning them with a loop or an attack, no pushing allowed. My partner mixes the serves randomly. Watch this first one. I read it as sidespin backspin, so I get under the ball, brushing upward along the lower part with my forearm. I take it early, right off the bounce, attacking the rising ball. On the next serve, the spin changes, now it's sidespin topspin. I adjust my racket angle, closing the face slightly and driving forward rather than lifting. The key is reading the spin quickly and committing to your stroke. In a match at 9 all, you don't have time to hesitate. watch my partner changes the serve again. The spin is disguised, and for a split second the read is unclear. But I commit to my stroke and stay compact. The deception in the serve is designed to freeze you. The antidote is decisive, early contact.
就懵了。是的，
After that, so let me ask you honestly, where are you in your development? Can you read the spin but react too slowly, or can you genuinely not tell what's coming? For most players, the issue isn't recognition, it's reaction speed. You see the spin, but your hands are late.
嗯，
That comes down to match experience and
对
repetition.
对对，是的，
In competition, your opponent throws different serves at you with varying spins, and the patterns keep changing. The only way to sharpen your read is to face as many different serves as possible.
嗯，
Here's the problem many of you face on receive. You handle the first serve well, you feel confident, then you misread the next one and panic. Once that doubt creeps in, you tighten up and start missing everything in a row. Watch the demonstration. Notice how the stance stays neutral, the racket angle resets to a ready position between each ball,
是的，
and the contact stays clean regardless of what came before.
真可以，越做越逊。啊，是的，
After a missed return, the next ball is where panic sets in. You get trapped replaying the last point, and that's the biggest danger. Reset to zero. Every single ball, your mind starts fresh. Your opponent will likely change the spin and placement on the very next serve. What you should review between points is specific. Which serve got me? Was it the side spin to my forehand? The side spin topspin to my backhand? Then make one clear adjustment. If I opened the racket face last time and it sailed long, I close it slightly next time. Remind yourself of that correction, but when the next serve comes, watch the ball with this ball is short. This one has backspin. Reset to zero every time. Don't carry baggage from the last point into the next. Avoid that spiral of second guessing, thinking I should have looped that one, I should have attacked, I went too short.
一下短了，
It's incredibly easy to fall into the trap of correcting for the previous ball.
就是特
Say the first serve was no spin and you should have attacked, you missed it. Next serve comes in heavy, and now you're still in attack mode when you should be pushing. You're confused, frozen, and your confidence drains point by point.
懵了。
You stop committing to any stroke at all.
对，就
Or the reverse, you overcorrected by closing the racket face after a ball sailed long, and the next serve is backspin. You chop it into the net. You're always applying the last mistake solution to a completely different problem. That math will never add up.
那肯定的，除非对方
Unless
有
your
法意
opponent sends the same serve 80% of the time,
对，
you cannot rely on the previous ball to guide the next one.
老陷入
Reset to zero. Every return must come from reading that specific serve, judging the spin, choosing your response, committing to it. Let me demonstrate 5 receives and walk you through the mindset. 0-0. I'm watching for backspin. If it's backspin, I loop it up. If it reads topspin, I close the racket face and drive through. Short ball, I stay close to the table, don't drift back. Second serve, I'm alert for a short ball since the first one went long with sidespin-backspin. Here comes a topspin serve. It feels heavier than expected, a bit loaded. My adjustment for next time, when I read topspin, add more friction on contact instead of just meeting it flat. But I also stay aware that backspin could come next, and a short ball is always possible, so I keep my weight forward, ready to step in. Now watch this one, the side spin topspin again.
是不是？
It's that sinking, half-spin quality. I need more brush on the ball to handle the weight.
嗯，
Each serve gets its own fresh read, its own specific adjustment. That's the discipline.
哎，往上带一点，对对对，嗯。